to another episode of the Millionaire Mentor Method podcast with me, your host, Krystal, also known as the most famous woman in the world. So today I want to talk about two things. One, which is the so-called blue ocean strategy. And another one is talking about how I believe that one of the best ways to get started in business is to look for the unglamorous businesses that you could start. And these two ideas and concepts goes together perfectly. So for those of you who don't know, the Blue Ocean Strategy is a book and obviously a strategy. And I should actually know who this book is by. It is by, let's see here, Renee Mawborn and W. Chan Kim. So highly recommended book. But to give you an idea, it's basically that you want to find businesses, niches, and problems where there is almost no one or no one else in that space or solving that problem. So when you're looking at businesses to start, yes, it's important that you want to look at things you're passionate about, but this is where kind of the rubber hits the road and where reality pops up, which is we want to start businesses which can make us money quickly. And there's a couple different ways to go about looking at that. One of them is low barrier to entry, so low cost to start. And also solving a problem that is, either unglamorous, not often thought of, or just very niche. So you can find a lot of those types of businesses and problems in industry. So in very not often talked about industrial type of settings. So what do I mean? Okay, I'll give you an example. So one of my friends has a company that he is the only provider and manufacturer of a certain part. And it's very technical, so I'm not even going to try to explain what it is. But it's a very specific type of part that is used in the shipping industry. So his business has been the only one that's been providing that for years and years and years, and he dominates his industry because he's literally the only one that manufactures this one particular part. And I believe it may be that he's the only U.S. manufacturer of that part. So I think there are other companies that produce it in China and other places around the world. But when those supply chains become disrupted, or when a client needs that part and they need it quickly and reliably, he's the go-to company because he's the only U.S.-based provider of that part. So, and that's very unglamorous, right? Like, it's not, his company is not, the Uber of beach cleanup. His company is not the next big makeup brand or the next Gucci or whatever. It's not glamorous, but it's real. And he's solving a problem in a niche that is not going away anytime soon, and in such a specific area that the average person who is not in the shipping industry, and by shipping I don't mean I should be more specific, maritime, so actually ships on the ocean, like freight delivery. So it's unglamorous. He's the only one. And me or you would not even know those types of details. So how does this go together with everything? Well, sometimes when we're starting our first businesses, the number one thing that we start with is, what am I passionate about? And yes, I truly believe in making an impact and in going after what your heart tells you to go after, and to make a conscious effort to go in that direction. But sometimes those types of businesses don't just take off quickly and start making you money. A lot of those business models and businesses are very, very challenging to cut through the noise. And I'm only speaking from experience. So I am a musician and artist, producer. I've been in the music industry for almost 20 years. And my first business, when I made my first million, was not in music. It was a cannabis dispensary delivery service in Santa Monica, California. And I remember being extremely, extremely shocked that money was that easy to make, when I had struggled for 12, 13, 14 years to try to make money in music. And I started my business and was monetized I was pretty much monetized immediately. Within 30 days, we were in the black, and first million within 18 months. So I was stunned at how easy it was and how fast it was. And that made me just think about, being an artist and going after my goals in that. The business model for making money in music, particularly during the time that I was making music, was very, 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 very convoluted. So I now attribute that partially to the fact that I happened to be coming of age during the time when the whole industry was being disrupted, and we didn't have the streamlined models that we have today. So, for example, I'm going to age myself and date myself right now, but when I was 18, there was no such thing as Instagram. I believe Facebook may have just been starting, but we didn't understand Facebook ads. I don't even know if Facebook ads was a thing during that time. No such thing as Instagram. The word social media influencer did not exist. The term affiliate links did not exist. Spotify did not exist. The iPod did not exist. Okay, so the way to make money when I was that age trying to be in a band was you had to have quite a bit of thousands saved up and then play live and sell t-shirts, and that was kind of the only method, and you would try to get signed by a label. And the transition to where we are today just was a mess. So the business model for making money as a musician was not solidified quite like it is now. We didn't have YouTube, and even in the first few years of YouTube, we didn't understand how to make money with that, and nobody was really monetizing. And so anyways, that's a very long-winded way to say that straightforward business models are better when it comes to making money. So I kind of look at it like this. You have to prioritize what is important to you when you're starting a business. So is the number one most important thing just following your passion and your dream and achieving your mission statement and being more of a conscious business, so that, you're thinking more along the lines of that maybe making money is a secondary note of importance, which that's totally fine. That's great. If that's what you want, then just know that's what you want. But if that's the case, you kind of have to understand that those types of businesses might take a little bit longer to monetize. Okay, so I'm talking about things like being a musician, being a YouTuber, maybe being a painter, making handmade items, those types of businesses that, are just a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, a lot more saturated. Or you can look at it like, no, you know what? The number one most important thing for me is to make money. And I know business owners, plenty of people and colleagues that if they're going to start a business, the only reason they're starting that business is to make money, period. They don't care what they're selling. They don't care what widget it is. They could be selling pillows or they could be selling PVC piping. They don't care. It doesn't matter. The point for them is to make money. So, of course, we would love it if there was a cross section between those two things. And I'm not saying there's not. There definitely is. But in the context of sticking to reality, and I'm a very boots on the ground type of person, I'm very realistic. You just kind of have to figure out what is more important to you. So if the most important thing to you is just making money, you just want to make money, then looking at unglamorous niches is honestly the perfect place to start, because you want to do the things and solve the problems that other people do not want to solve. And one way you could look at this is you will be paid in direct proportion to the magnitude of the problem you solve. And that's not my quote, and I'm forgetting whose quote that is. I think it might have been Elon Musk's quote. I think he might have said that. So, what do I mean by that? Okay. I mean looking at industries and businesses that are not glamorous and that other people don't want to get into. Things like cleaning, things to do with garbage, different services surrounding garbage. One business model that is a potential source of exactly what I'm talking about is sort of like trash valet service. So that you, there's one business I saw recently where you have weekly or bi-weekly trash collections per household, so that people don't have to deal with their own trash, meaning like the actual kitchen trash, and making sure the trash can is clean and all that stuff. And you're actually taking the trash not to the apartment complex dumpster, but actually to the actual like dump site. And that can be, well, I mean, I guess you could technically just take it to the dumpster at the apartment building or townhouse community. But in this particular case, the business was started because the apartment community could not handle the amount of trash that was being produced every week. And their trash, their dumpster areas were overflowing every single week. So basically it was kind of like an intersection between a junk collection service and a like valet trash collection service. So that's something that, you know what? Not many people are like, yeah, I want to start a business being the trash man. You know, it's not glamorous. But at the same time, if you can get those contracts with real estate management companies, then there you go. And that's very blue ocean strategy, because I know for a fact there's not many people trying to start trash collection businesses. Another one, if you work in an industrial type of job, so manufacturing, just anything like that. If you have a background in construction or being an electrician, or like my friend, anything to do with ships, or just something that most people aren't necessarily in, well, make a note of the problems that you see actually in your work environment. I'm sure there's tons. I'm sure there are frustrations that you deal with on a daily basis, and I'm sure you try to complain to your upper management and they don't listen, or they can't solve the problem, or they don't care, and it causes you headaches on a daily basis. I can think of many, many, many scenarios in my work life where I used to get so annoyed at certain practices and situations that, those are potential blue ocean strategy business ideas. All right, brainstorm. Think of some jobs, think of some dirty jobs that nobody wants to do, and go out there and do them. Until then, remember, each one, teach one.
The information provided in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice, investment advice, or medical advice. The host is not a financial advisor nor a medical doctor or licensed therapist. Any financial or medical decisions made based on the information in this podcast are made at the listener's own risk. It is recommended that listeners consult with licensed professionals such as CPAs, financial advisors, and licensed physicians before making any investment or medical decisions. The host and creators of this podcast accept no responsibility or liability for any loss or damages incurred as a result of the information provided in this podcast.